Hello? Let's see. Lisa Malvea.
Hey, Lisa, this is John. I hear you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. And then I'll have to figure out how to share my document when they. So I guess Cherie is not online yet.
I'm only seeing 3.
Yep. Is it cold up there where you guys are?
Well, it's all relative, right? Um,
It's
I
all
don't-
relative? Is that what you said?
what was that?
It's all relative? Is that what you
Of
said?
course, right. For you, 40 degrees is cold, right?
Yeah.
But for
Tara, where are you from?
New Jersey.
Yeah, that's cold too. Yikes.
It's rainy today.
it's just rain, a lot of rain.
Oh, you're getting the rain that we had yesterday, and I was out in the rain probably off and on several times. It was brutal.
Yeah.
And wind. Did you get wind?
It not so much today. I think it was a
Yeah,
bit.
we have about 40 miles an hour.
Oh, okay. I think it was like 70 or 80 here yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
So the rain was going sideways.
Oh,
Might
I
be
think
just the three of us, huh?
it's only 3 of us. Lisa, you and I chatted probably 3 years ago, or a little more, well, no, 4 or 5 years ago when I was first looking at this thing.
Yeah.
And thanks for your input. So
Awesome.
but we are definitely growing.
Good. We probably people probably need a session on, scaling and adapting, and because once you think you've got something figured out, you get to a new revenue level and it's different.
Well, we're way up there. I mean, combining all with our territories, we're probably now the number 1, right? Okay. It's early, but put you on.
Where is Mark? Where is Mark from?
Hey guys, good afternoon. We're from California, and we are having territories here in Huntington Beach and Southwest. Oh no, Stanton, yeah, Anaheim. How are you guys doing?
Good. How's
All
everybody
great
else
for a
doing?
Thursday afternoon. There's Cherie.
I popped
Yeah.
in. Hi, guys.
I've already shared my screen.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. I wanted to get ahead of the game because usually I don't do that very well.
No, I appreciate it. Wow, we've already got quite a few on here. That's awesome. I guess you already probably introduced yourself too, huh, Lisa?
No,
No,
no, we're
okay.
just waiting for people to get on. I was just looking at the faces on there.
All right. Yeah, we've got a lot of newbies on right now, which is awesome. I like that. All right, I'll give everybody a couple minutes and then I'll give you a nice little
I don't know what the
intro.
group what the group is, because I know there are several people on that are 3 and 4 years in, and then there's new people too.
Well, most of the rookies that I've had since I've started in 2022. So
Got it.
yeah, I kind of just have started inviting them again to these RIISE because they're so powerful. You know, you go to conference, Lisa, you understand it. It's just so much, it's priceless information when you just start to talk to some of the 10-year owners that have just been doing it for so long. You guys all do stuff so differently and unique, which is really kind of cool when you really think about it, because it's like you're buying this franchise that's, you know, structured and you've got the support, but you've also got that fluidity of just like making this business your own and kind of having this like mom and pop feel to it. So that's what I love about this brand so much. All right. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get you started because I know you got a lot to talk about. So welcome everybody. Thank you guys all for taking the time out to join Lisa Malvea today while she talks to us about, you know, just tackling selling your value, overcoming some sales objections, and really just delivering her proposal. Most of you have heard me talk about her spreadsheet that she uses to kind of really help kind of close the deals, I feel like, with creating the timeline on the spot and also kind of giving them perspective of what that like value is that you're bringing to the sale as you do like an online auction or an in-person estate sale. So Lisa Malvea, welcome. She is in Roswell and Buckhead, Georgia, and whew, she's been making waves this 4 years that she has been in the brand. So Lisa, welcome. Thanks for taking the time out and doing this, and I'll go ahead and kick it off to you so you can get started.
Okay, cool. So thanks everybody for having me. I've got a bunch of slides here based on kind of what Cherie asked me to talk about. And mostly we're just going to talk about some nuggets that I've seen along the way. And some of them I'm going to go through really fast, and some of them just to make a point. And then some of them I'll look and do a little bit, you know, bigger deal. Okay, so my screen is not, why am I not advancing? There we go. Okay. And so the other thing is, like, I'm like you guys, I'm out running the business. I'm not here to make slideshows pretty for this. So that's why I've pulled just a bunch of stuff from a lot of different things that I've done. And so when Cherie asked me to talk about selling value and pitching the business and pricing and objections and, you know, how I do proposals and all of that, I said, great, but one of the things that helps you do that is when you really understand your business and you have confidence in your choices, and you're able to kind of know when to walk away and when to make kind of options on profitability, experience, and closing the business, et cetera. So I'll kind of set this up in a couple different ways. So I'm going to talk a range of topics, but you do have to know how to track everything. And do expect the slide dump. If you get one nugget from listening to me, that's awesome, because I'll get nuggets from your questions too. And again, like I said, I'm just kind of sharing tidbits of things that I do and have done. And actually this year I'm at 5 years in the business. And so I'm excited because I went to training 5 years ago in December. So in turn, I've got 3 slides on understanding your business. And for those of you that were at the March conference, I presented on pricing and metrics, and this was a couple components of here. And the reason I wanted to include it is because when you're selling your value and you're talking about your business, you have to have confidence in what's going on behind the scenes and how it all fits together. So for me, I tried to really oversimplify I'm worried about my pipeline because that's new business. I'm worried about performance and process, and I'm worried about pricing and payment. And I own all of those for my business. And so if there's one thing I can tell you is you own your pricing, and we're going to talk a lot about pricing and how you price, how I price, and when you can walk away and stuff. But that drives your revenue and that drives your profitability. You'll also see on the bottom here that things that are very critical is in selling value is to focus on the work to be done. Okay, I will reiterate that over and over when I'm with a client about this is work. We are doing work. And that also, as you're running your business, stakeholder management is really important. Sometimes this is like herding cats. And, when you think about selling your value or handling objections, if you don't know who all the stakeholders who are involved, then you may not be able to close that business. And then also, what is our customer experience? So those are the main things that I'm always focused on. For our business, and this becomes really important for you, and I don't use these words when I'm selling, but it does become really important. So we've done 1,113 projects in 5 years. We've filmed 60,000 lots. Last time I did some metrics, our average per lot was about $84. And those are things when you know them for your business, they roll off your tongue, and they provide you credibility. So they are part of selling your value in a situation. That gives people confidence that you know what you're doing. For those of you that are new, you're going to say to yourself, well, I can't say that. Well, you can. We have a network of 330 owners, whatever the number is today. And I have a slide that shows some of those metrics. So you need to kind of learn those things, because when you're new, you have the value of the network and you have the value of your experience that gets you through calls. For us, in our performance and process, really nailing down the scope and the work to be done so that my team knows what's to do is important. Providing those handovers. I mean, our clients, I'm the salesperson, so my clients latch onto me, and I've got to hand that over so the team can get the work done. We're big believers in auction pickup and getting testimonials. And then you'll see over on the right-hand side, pricing and payment. You have to charge for the work that you're doing. You might think that there's this little simple formula to sell the deal, but you probably could be getting more revenue if you were charging for the work to be done. Okay, because a simple formula like 3,000 or 35%, whichever's bigger, for me, I just can't make that math work in my own head and run my business. So also knowing when I'm in any sales call, I'm reading the cues, right? I'm reading the cues so I can sell the business, close the business, but I'm also reading cues to know what kind of insights can I get competitively. Because sometimes I'll do a quote and I'll write on it, I got 20% chance of closing that. And sometimes I won't even send a quote because they're just really not ready yet. So I am looking for competitive insights, even if I feel like I'm going to lose the deal. I know I'm not going to win every deal. I'm not worried about that because I'm not going to win every deal. But I'm always into getting paid. Okay. And so that becomes important. And so if you don't have a good process and you don't perform, you're not going to get paid. If you don't charge for the work and have that in your quote, you're not going to get paid. So that's just kind of simple things for me. When I walk into every call, people ask me, how long have you been doing that? Well, I'm 5 years. We've completed, over 1,100 projects. Wow. So have a way in your system to kind of track what's a project for you. A project for me is a reload, a sort, a auction, a clean out. That's 4 projects. Might be one house. Okay, but we manage those differently across the weeks. And some people only want one or the other. And but I'm going to try to sell them, everything that I can. The other thing that's on this slide that I wanted to stress, because I probably don't stress it a lot in the presentation a lot, is My goal when I sit down with anybody or talk to anybody is to really to understand their goals, because I will bring them, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? Why do they need to move? Why didn't they, and I want why? Because that can always come back in conversations later as we're getting you to what you really wanted to get done, which is X. And that's the bigger picture. So I'm not a pressure salesperson. I mean, Sheree knows this. I don't track my close ratio because I'm not really trying to put that pressure there. I always tell people I'm ready when you're ready. And I'm not going to, I sat with a woman today in my second meeting with her, and, she's just kind of still thinking it over. She's going to use me, but I think she's not ready to make that deposit yet because she's not really worried. This is like a February move, right? So I told her, I said, I'm here, I'm around. So just call me. And when you're ready, we'll get this going. So I don't try to close on the spot on the visit one. I tell them I'm going to go do my homework and create a plan and a timeline for what you've told me. And also because I need to think about everything that I saw and what is that going to cost me. So I am never going to try to close on the spot. I'm just not. So that it is what it is. Think about the network. You guys are new and you might say, oh, well, this is what you lean on. But I talk about this on every sales call I'm on. We're a nationwide network. We have a footprint of over 350 owners. We've done a lot of projects since we were founded. We do things state to state. We have 680,000 bidders on our national platform. Annually, we do about 5,300 estate sales nationally. And the rest of these metric, like 121 million page views, that's probably a little outdated now. I haven't updated that number. I get that from our national team. But that's a lot of power that we have and that you have when you're selling value. And I don't usually go through a slide like this with people, but I am talking these numbers and I just kind of let them flow off my lips. We do have about 7,000 bidders locally. We personally have filmed about 60,000 lots over 5 years. And in the last 12 months, we had about 2.6 million page views across all the online estate sales that we did. And so we track that. We track that for every auction and then we add that up. So my background, I spent a lot of years in consumer products with Procter & Gamble, with Clorox. I've called on every retailer there is. I did about 10 years of private equity consulting and sales training. And I personally moved probably 14 to 15 times, and I moved my parents a bunch of times. And so my point is, you all have great experience, even if you're new in the business. Find ways to use your prior experience to build that credibility, because it does help in your sales value. They feel like, okay, I've got somebody who knows how to get stuff done. I've got somebody who's been in this situation, or they've personally been in that situation. Use that to your advantage. For me, this is very personal. My mother had Alzheimer's. That's her on the left-hand side with me. My dad had vascular dementia. And on the right-hand side is my mother-in-law, who's 100 years old this week. And so this is important to me. I spent the 35 years in corporate America, but now I'm using those skills to help people. And I know we all have this in our heart. And so my point, when you're selling value, you're selling your value. That's not cheesy. Just sell yourself. I mean, why is this important to you? Okay. I talk with a lot of customers about being on offense. There's a lot of situations I'm in where the adult child calls me and mom's in the hospital. Can you move her Monday so that she comes out of the hospital and she's in her place? Okay, that's nobody's on offense there. I'm like, let me get over to the house and try to figure out what we need to do so we can make it a pretty place for her. But a lot of times people are in a situation where they're thinking about downsizing. They're thinking about going to a senior living community. They're thinking about moving to their kids. So one of the things I listen and I'm understanding their goals. Again, I'm reiterating that, but You know, it's better to make a choice when you can make a choice and you own the choice, as opposed to if there has been a critical medical event and the choice is being made for you. So a lot of times I will talk about being on offense. You can make a choice now. Even if somebody's been in and out of the hospital and they're stable, I'll tell them now's the time to make a choice. And I'm here to help get it done when you make that choice. So being on offense is a line that I use. So one thing when clients, I'm sitting in front of clients, you know, this slide basically has two things on it. And one, yeah, I tell people in a real simple matter, because again, these people are overwhelmed that we're talking on. And I'm saying this because this all relates to value and handling objections and delivering proposals. So I always try to make it really easy. Hey, we can help you plan, pack, move, and unpack so that you have downsized. And then we can sell all your stuff and get your house ready to list for the market. That's really two main things that we do. We do all kinds of things in between that. And we customize our plan for you. But, you know, in the big scheme of things, we're either selling everything in your house and getting it ready, or we're getting you moved, or we're doing both. I will tell you that I get a lot of, this little slide, you know, it's kind of a little bit of the same thing, but on the left-hand side is everything we do to move. And on the right-hand side is the process we use for, you know, online estate sales and cleanouts. And I get leads from, like we all do, from, you know, estatesales.net, and they're saying they're wanting to have an estate sale. Oh, what's going on? Well, we're moving. Oh, do you have a mover? Have you figured out that part of your plan? So you're always talking between these components about the major elements that we do and what can we do. And the more you ask and the more you listen, the more they will tell you about kind of what's going on and what they're trying to deal with. And that's the point from there. Okay, so I'm going to start to go into little details, and I've got a couple trigger points here. So this slide I use a lot with real estate agents, because the real estate agents, you know, are just trying to get all the stuff out. All they want to do is sell the house, and I get that. And we're a great person that can help them do that. But there's a lot of, I mean, the visual here for you is there's a lot of stuff there, and it's got to get gone so they can sell that house. The house is the biggest asset. Okay. You have got, I mean, the work to be done and the house is the biggest asset are the things that I do on every sales call, on every situation, because that's what we're facilitating. What's the work to be done? Because we want to get the house ready to sell. Okay. Now I'm going to go through a couple different things here that I'll go through some of these pretty quickly. This is pretty easy. On the left-hand side, we pack. In the middle, it gets on a truck and we move it. On the right-hand side, we unpack and we put it all together. You know, this woman had about 400 teapots, and you can't see in this slide, but we got it down to about 50. But she also had about 200 ceramic birds, and we got it down to that one little case of birds there on the right-hand side. But, you know, this is what people want. Pack, move, unpack, hang pictures, make beds, day one living. We sell everything in the house. You know, so I'm always, when I'm walking through a house, I'm always pointing out, yeah, we can sell that. Yes, we can sell. Oh, we're just going to take that and donate that. Well, we can sell it, or you can donate it. But we also get things ready for an efficient pickup, which is over on the right-hand side. So that's just, you know, some lots that were filmed in a really packed house, and they were labeled and ready for pickup after filming, and we were able to use some of the garage. Okay, here's a key point. On the left-hand side, we create sellable lots using local and national trends. I'm going to say it again. We create sellable lots using local and national trends. We are a national company. We sell things locally. We sell things nationally. Our competitors cannot create sellable lots based on local and national trends. The family can sort and organize. That's all this really is sorting and organizing. What do we got to sell? I don't call it sort and organize because anybody can do that. Okay. I create sellable lots using local and national trends. That's what I do. There's filming. There's another slide that's pickup ready. You know, we emphasize to people that we take 10 to 15 photos per lot that we sell on our online platform. You know, that's pretty standard. You know, we're always ready for pickups and have our teams so that the house is protected. So, the point I'm going to make here, which I do this a little differently than some teams. I will not do a physical estate sale because that means people are wandering through the house. They don't respect the house. They don't care about the walls and the floors. And my big mantra is the house is the asset. Secondly, the competitive bidding process in our online platform drives people up. And we will, from any given auction, ship to 5 to 25 states. So it's so that national footprint is to our advantage. So those are the 3 reasons I won't do a in-person estate sale. And why you hear me talking about the house is the biggest asset. This stuff in the picture here, you know, it's all labeled and ready to go. But my team will remove things from the house at an auction pickup. And I do charge the customer for that. But I do not let anybody in the house because I'm responsible for the house and protecting it. And I'm not letting anybody wander through. So that's just me and my business. And you'll see that in a minute. This is just another example of a clean out. And what I'm helping you do is visualize, hey, what's this going to look like when it's all empty? Because that's what we need to do to sell it. I mean, and the real estate agents probably already told them that I need to get all this stuff out for if you want me to sell your house. So just believe in that, have confidence in that. That's part of selling value, that this is work. That's not done in an hour. That was not an hour-long project. Let's see, what do I got next? Okay, so don't judge a book by its cover. So there's a couple things I do here. And this is something that, especially for new people, you know, most of our clients are older and they are seniors. And in a lot of scenarios, there's been a medical or a cognitive decline. And that does impact the living situation. Okay. And that's not something I was ever really prepared for when I started this business, to see all the things that we see. But you know, you can walk into a house and there's just stuff everywhere and it's dirty and there's dust and, you know, just a lot of things that are happening. So make sure when you think about a house and a project to not judge the book by its cover, not judge the people by its cover. I do have a lot of people that, you know, and this is more so when I'm talking to adult kids, and, you know, they'll call and say, well, I need somebody to move my mom to blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, well, great. That's, you know, you've called the right person. Why are we moving? What's going on? And sometimes they'll say, I don't know why you're asking that. I just need a mover. You know, like real sassy and stuff. I'm like, oh, well, you know, I'm just trying to make sure I understand the situation. If there's a medical situation or a cognitive situation, I want to be cognizant of that before I go to the house. And so I'm really just here trying to think about your person and make sure that we give them the best experience. Usually then they'll kind of, you know, then they just start talking about all that's going on. And that's good because I want them talking, but sometimes they just, you know, they just want to check off a box and they're not worried about that. But I am worried about safety when there's a medical or a cognitive design, and the work to be done is a little bit different. So that's why I kind of had the don't judge a book by its cover. Here's the other reason why I don't want you to judge a book by its cover if you're new. So this house, the same picture, only on the right-hand side, you see, you know, an artifact there that was in an online estate sale. So this was a 1,200 square foot condo. We did 5 dumpsters. There were 3 online estate sales that ran concurrently with about 800 lots. And I think we had on those 3 about $500,000 in sales. We had over 100,000 page views. The condo ended up selling for $450,000. So it's a one-off, it's not repeatable. But the trinkets and the treasures that came out of this house is what I don't want you to judge, because when you look at that picture on the left, you're like, okay, the only chair to sit in is a little, outdoor chair, and there's all this stuff on the wall. Turns out this client's business partner had passed away. He had Alzheimer's. His father is in Wikipedia as a 5-star admiral from 1940s. And there were artifacts from the Asia Pacific when he ran that. Plus, they had a coin collection in the basement that we really didn't even know until about week 3, because there was so much stuff in here. And so don't judge a book by its cover, because you never know. And a lot of our competitors, they just won't even show up for a 1,200 square foot condo. Like, that's just not big enough for them. And so when you have that mode, you're going to lose out on some opportunities. And so you just never know. The other thing is, like, when you show up, they tell their friends that you showed up. Okay. Because there are a lot of people will make an appointment and then they just don't show up. Because then they'll do their research and say, what, that's only a 2-bedroom condo. I'm not wasting my time to go over there. So just you never know. Okay. Now, I would love to find a bunch more of those projects like that, but it was a non-repeatable event, and it just fell into my lap. But we took the advantage of it, and we've got some great learnings from it. Okay, so one of the things I do, I'm focused on the work to be done. This timeline is because of my Walmart experience, okay? When you work with Walmart, if you can't execute, you don't get to play again. Okay. So in this business, I applied the same planning process, and I use this on every sales call. And what this does is it turns the conversation to not if we're going to do the work, but how the work's going to get done. Okay. And so that's a really important mind shift, is that, especially if you have competitors. I found really early in this business that, there were good local providers, but it was a hobby to them. And it was kind of like, well, Susie's having a wedding and Sally's got to go on a trip, so I don't know when I can do your estate sale. And I'm like, we're running a business here. Like, the client doesn't care about our personal schedule. They care about their project getting done. So this timeline I use all the time. If I get into a tight situation where the house is closed and I know that before I've even gone to the account, I will put that in the timeline, and I'll say, we need to get this started right away, and, we need to do that. So I'll come back to the timeline. But I do a lot of times take that on the consult. And again, like I said, it just sets us apart and gets to the how, not if. So it kind of changes the mindset there. I don't use this slide ever, but here's my point to you. Because this comes up all the time in sales calls. Well, what is your process? How are you going to get that done? Oh, well, so like on the bottom here is if an estate sale process. Well, we have a 5-step process. We're going to separate non-sellable from sellable. We're going to create sellable lots. We're going to film the lots. We're going to launch the online estate sale and do the marketing. And then we're going to manage payment, pick up, and clean out. So I can rattle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 off all the time. My proposals measure that. They're just people trying to figure out, well, how is it all going to work? Okay. Okay. So here's a couple slides I built because I say these. So during the consult, what's the goal? Everybody's got that house and the asset. And when I'm in a consult, I am focusing on the work to be done. I say it over and over. And I just, sometimes they'll want to sit and talk. Sometimes we go straight into walking around, but I open cabinets, closets, and doors. I go up to the attic. I go down into the basement. I go into the garage. I peek behind things. I go into all the bedrooms, all the spaces, because I want to know what I'm dealing with. What they start to see from that, and what you start to see, especially if you kind of are looking through things first, is you're starting to see places where there is density, or you're getting insight into where the rooms they live in and their little, what I call them, nests, right? You can see their nests. They might sit with you in the living room, but you know, in the den is their little recliner with their little chairs and their lamps, and you can kind of see really, really how they live. But I make it a point to do all this because, again, I want to know what I'm doing, and I'm reinforcing that this is work. Because when they get my quote, they're going to see the dollar figures. It's work. It's costly. Okay. I think that's it on that slide. Let's see what's next. So I talked about the 5 phases of an auction clean out. I rattled those off. That's pretty easy. What I'm going to start going through now is kind of how I price estate sales and the work to be done as I've gone through this 5 steps here. So what I can tell you is this next slide's going to look kind of busy, and we're going to go through it component by component, and I'm going to give you an examples as well. But that's my 5-step process: sellable, not sellable, create sellable lots based on local and national trends, film the lots, launch and manage the auction, close the auction, invoice, pickup, final NTM, deep clean. Okay. So one of my templates is the timeline. This is another template of mine. So there's a couple things I want you to see on here. In yellow, you see phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, and the total cost of services on that example is $9,125. And I'm asking for a $3,650 deposit. Below that, the third component of this is the math and how the stuff works. Because people always want to know, well, how much is my stuff going to sell for? Well, I ain't guaranteeing nothing. Okay. So on the bottom here, what you'll see is sales range of low, mid, middle, high, and high. I change that for every client based on volume or quality or quantity or the size of the house. And my sole purpose in picking those amounts is to show them they may owe me money and I might owe them money. That's all I'm trying to do. Okay. And then the final component at the bottom there, it says home value estimated versus final amounts due, $350,000. Okay. So basically I'm saying I'm ending with the house is the asset, and this might be less than 1% of the cost of the value of your asset when it all sits down with each other. So I'm going to, while we're on this page, know that there's not much formulas behind this. Okay. Like I don't say it's going to take 25 hours. So that's going to be, you know, $25. I'm really just throwing money at this so I can get a lot of money and cover everything that we need to get done. Okay. So I'm going to go page by page because I know y'all are going to come back and ask questions. There's my line item, create sellable lots based on local and national trends. I've already made this point. Anyone can sort and organize, including the family. So that's why I don't use that phrase, because sort and organize anybody can do, and I want somebody to pay me to do it. Okay. So here's a, so this example, I'm going to show you a couple other examples. We're going to go phase by phase here because there's a couple things I want to point out. This one's a pretty wild example, and I'll tell you why. And I share the example because the structure works no matter what. So notice I've got pull all cabinets and closets across the house, pull basement boxes. I've got a supply kit. When I started out, I was not charging for supplies. Okay, on a clean out. It's there. Removing trash. Okay, which in this house, what I did is I've got trash and chemicals. And then notice I've got 3 to 4 trucks labor haul away for main level furniture. So this house had, the owner died. There were 8 cats in the house for about a year. and the cat sitter was coming 3 times a day, and the cats had just ravaged the house. I'm talking like it looked like out of a movie theater. You know, there was sheetrock clogged, all kinds of stuff. So none of it was sellable. None of it. So I said, well, first we got to empty all the stuff where the cats are. And then I talked about the garage, which was maxed out, and 2 more dumpsters if they're needed. We did carpet removal. Okay. So, you know, it needed to be done. They were going to come in and renovate the house. So why not me get paid for it? I think that cost me $1,000 to do, and I charged $3,000 for it. And so know that when you see things like that, you can put in there, like I've only done in 5 years 2 carpet removals, but it's an example of what you can do. You got to charge for supplies. You know, it's very normal on a move to charge for supplies, but people don't think about it in a clear out. So that was a kind of off the wall example, and you're gonna see those. So that's the point. You're gonna see those. So here's 2 examples of create sellable lots based on local and national trends. So the bottom example where it says yellow phase 2, that's how I did the big house that I just mentioned. I just said, I'm going to do that by the hour, because I really don't, after those cats are out of there, I don't really know how much is in there. But the top example says main and upstairs, the attic in the guest house was empty, the basement, and then the outside. So what I'm trying to do here is show, and if you looked at 5 or 10 of these of my quotes, you know, if there's a basement that's just a wreck, it's getting, you know, $700 or $800, and the main level's getting $200. So I'll try to make it relative based on the work to be done when we walked the house. Okay. That's all I wanted on that page. Filming the lots. So I typically will come up with a fixed fee here, and I will base that on an estimated number of lots. I used to, like in this example with this house, it says set up and film, $1,250. And I estimated it to be 125 lots. That just happens to be $10 a lot, but there really wasn't that math behind it. What I've started doing is if that house ended up with 180 lots, I will prorate that and increase the fees at the end, because there was more work than I actually thought. You see on the bottom example there, phase 3, where it says $1,750, $35 per lot. That was in the big house with the cats. The point I want to make to you here is I do this typically as a fixed line, not as a per lot amount, because I don't know what the per lot amount is, right? I mean, if you got a house that's all furniture, it's easy to film. If it's got lots of little small dishes and stuff, it's harder to film. I've charged a variety of per lot fees on really small jobs, and I don't have a consistent approach there, but I typically will do a fixed fee on this line. Phase 4, launch the auction. You know, that's just me re-emphasizing that I'm going to market to a bunch of local people, a bunch of national people. This example is from like 2022. And then I'm going to do, you know, I'm going to go out and target people with social media. In 2024, I charged $675 to launch it, and I'll probably be increasing that in the next year. Close auction, manage payment, pick up, empty, and clean. So notice invoicing collection, $200. Do you think it costs that? No. Our CT Bids team, I mean, this used to be a lot different when we didn't have CT Bids Express, but invoicing and collection, people get it. You know, am I going to have to chase down 4 or 5 people on a big auction? Yeah, I'm going to charge for it. Pickup team, 3 to 5 for 1 to 2 days, $650, no bidders in the home. So basically I'll say, hey, if my pickup's going to be 6 or 7 hours, I'm sorry, 3 or 4 hours, and I need 6 or 7 hours to prep, I'm going to need 2 or 3 movers in there. That's the line item of the resources I'm going to bring in for that. And what I'm showing them is I'm not letting anybody in your house. I'm protecting your house, and there's a fee for that. I usually have a final empty number on here, and then we're gonna deep clean the home. Sometimes we carpet clean the home. And basically I'll say to people, all you have to do is, turn the keys over to your real estate agent. It's done. So I think that I will also take into account on my pickup line there, if I've got a really bad driveway, hard to access, and I'm gonna have to have a longer pickup because, it's just a narrow, steep, or one in, one out kind of driveway, then I'll increase the fees there as well. So this is a different example. Actually, that's the cat house. So I wanted to tell you the results of this because, everybody says you charge $3,000. What? That was $23,000. So that sale did $9,752. We doubled the amount of lots that we originally thought. There was more trash. And also it was an hour away from our territory. And so I charged for travel time and mileage as well. And that's in my contract. So, this ended up being a pretty pricey house. This was in a estate in a trust, and, I was dealing with the trust manager. And so just know that when you get big projects like this, you can charge for the work.
Hey Lisa, real
this-
quick, Luisa Peralta asked, can you tell us how big this house was and what the density level was roughly? Do you
So this
remember?
house was, this house might have been,
I found it. It was almost 1900, three bedroom, 2 bath.
Okay, thanks, Luis. Okay, got the answer. Never mind, Lisa.
what'd you say, 1900? I was going to say, yeah, it was about 2,500 square feet. Had a
Yeah.
full basement and an attic, which is not in the public domain. Okay, and a garage that was packed as well. So
how much
the
additional
main level, the 1900 square feet, that's the main level that they can publish, was cat ravaged.
Okay.
What was the other question on that one?
So what was your estimate for total square footage, including those additional spaces?
It's been 3 years. I don't remember. I mean, honestly, the basement was as big as the main house. So that's another 1900 square feet. You add the garage, that's another, 600. The attic was probably 300 or 400 square feet.
Like
The basement was box packed. So you couldn't really see what was there to sell or not sell. All you could see was and smell was the cats on the main level. Okay, so here's another house. This is a more normal house for me. And so you see pull-out cabinets 300, supplies 250, trash is 750, and maybe one dumpster. You see the sellable lots, setup and film, marketing, pickup, and we didn't have a pickup on that house. I don't even remember which address house this is, but this just shows you a normal thing. So I'm charging on an average house. This is probably an average house, $6,000 to $8,000 cost of services, plus commission, plus BP. So I think I talked about this. This is the bottom section. Notice this has the total cost of services, the deposit, and then what's due after the deposit. And then again, you see the work is to sell the house, and the sales range is on purpose to show you might owe me money, like you see final amount due for services. So if you sell $2,500 on your online estate sale, you're going to owe me another $3,100. If your estate sale does $15,000, I'm going to write you a check for $4,440. So I'm not trying to guesstimate. I'm trying to take into account what I saw. Is it really nice stuff? The volume, the density, and then consciously show them they may owe me money and I may owe you money. Okay, so handling objections. So my training was from Procter & Gamble. We don't handle objections until we know what the real objection is. That's the way to think about it. So you have to know the goal. You have to know these people are overwhelming. And you also have to know that there's going to be some hard boundaries. So salespeople in any industry will waste their time on trying to handle everything. And you don't want to do that. You want to have a process that just kind of says, hey, you know, what else? What else? What else? So you think I've got too many dumpsters in my quote. Okay, what else? So you think you've got too many dumpsters and you shouldn't have to pay that for filming. What else? And they say something, oh, you've got too many dumpsters, you shouldn't have to pay for filming, and you want your cleaners to clean your house. Anything else? Well, I got to move that fast like your timeline is, but my funds are tied up in a CD that doesn't expire for 5 days. Now I'm getting to the problem. He's trying to cut the costs because he doesn't have cash, but he wants me to go. Okay. So how the trick on handling objections is to be patient and see what's really going on. And so the thing is just like, okay, what else is, I hear you. What else is going on? Repeat what they say. You don't need that many dumpsters. Okay. You know, now what somebody would say that wouldn't use this approach, they'd say, well, you know, I do this 8 days a week. I know that you need 2 dumpsters, maybe 3, because I've seen a house like yours where now you're into an argument with them about something you do every day, but they don't know what it takes. And you just don't need to argue with him. You just need to really, 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 really find out what's going on here. So that takes a little bit of discipline, and it's never really like in this scenario, I'm never really doing all that repeating. I'm just saying, okay, what else is going on? Okay, what else is going on? Okay, so I've heard 5 things from you. And then you really are able to process stuff. So that's kind of my piece on handling objections. And that's just kind of a background note. So what I would tell you in the top right-hand corner, ask, listen, repeat, rank. I mean, that's really the tried and true formula that I learned as in, 13 years at Procter & Gamble. So sometimes I will have people kind of say, well, what's my out of pocket? What's the worst case scenario? They'll start looking at my math and they'll go from there. Well, your deposit plus whatever your sales doesn't cover. So sometimes I'll go and I'll give them that math. I'll show it to them for them. So why are we expensive? So I'm just giving you a little more things that I talk about throughout the conversation. I'm bringing a trained team on site with processes, and they work for me 7 days a week. So the message there is I'm not pulling somebody off the street. I have a team that's used to an approach, and they all work for me all the time. Because a lot of our small competitors don't have that. So I'm bringing a trained team on site with processes, and they work for me 7 days a week. In urgent situations, I will say, look, my experience and expertise allows us to move really quickly to help you. So you've called me here. It's Thursday afternoon at 5 o'clock, and you need your mom in her new place by Monday at 6 o'clock because she's getting discharged Tuesday morning. I need to get over there right now. But because I have the experience and the trained teams, we're going to get over there and we're going to get it done. Third bullet on here, we do the pretty work and the dirty work. Okay. Most of our competitors who only do estate sales don't want to get their hands dirty. Even in the moves, there's dirty work in the moves. So that's another line I'll use is, well, we're going to do the pretty work and the dirty work, and the house is going to be ready for you to list. I also say you have 1 point of contact, 1 nose to touch, 1 throat to choke. Okay, so I'm not messing with a bunch of different people. I'm accountable for it all. That's what we're going to do. Also, you know, in some situations, I'm like, you know, if I start feeling like, and because I've learned and I've listened that, you know, they're bringing in a lot of competitors, you know, I'll just always say, oh my gosh, if you want me to interpret all that, I'm happy to do an apples to apples comparison for you so that, you know, you can kind of see how all the different things account for it. And what I'm saying when I do that is I'm not afraid for you to pit me against my competitor. Because at the end of the day, I don't care. I'll move on to the next customer. Really, it's not going to break my heart if they don't go with me. I tell them I'm a big girl and they're going to make the best choice for themselves. But I'm always wanting, if I can get people to send me their quotes, I learn, I get competitive insights. So that's why I'm always kind of saying that. Now, what I also go into is when people start saying they're talking, I'm like, hey, let me give you some questions to ask them. Okay. So I'll say, do they do the dirty work or do they hire somebody else, or are you going to have to call multiple people? Do they provide an accounting of your auction results within 1 to 2 days of closing? How many page views are they going to see in your house? It's not 100 cars. That's what the estate sale people talk. I have 100 cars here. Well, I mean, I'm going to get 8 to 10,000 page views. Okay. How many bids do they see on a house or an auction your size? How many people have you gotten going through there making offers? What's not sold? Okay. And I tell people I sell 99% of what we list because, again, we use a 5-step process, and step 1 is sellable, not sellable. And step 2 is create sellable lots based on what we see trending locally and nationally. So I'm going to sell everything that we list. How big of the net is the net for the house of your size? So what I'm really getting to there is if you're looking at me as an online estate sale person and Sally as an in-person estate sale, the net is how wide is that net of shoppers, bidders going to go to? Because I'm nationally posting, I'm getting people from 5 to 25 states. That's a lot better than 100 cars. And yeah, we'll get your stuff looked at and competitive bidding going on. So I'm really trying to, I know if they're looking at a traditional estate sale that they're not going to know what the net is, and they're not going to have a report at the end of the day, and there is going to be things left. And then I'm like, hey, can they meet your timeline so your house gets on the market? Because I've got a timeline and I'm into execution. And then I always ask for references because on every sales call, I give out a stack of testimonials. You know, I always want emails written. And so in every console, I've got, I don't know, 30 or 40 testimonials. I say, this is real emails from people. You can read them and at your leisure. And we do that. So also on Why Are We Expensive, we do this 8 days a week. We're happy to let you make progress, and I'll come back and see how we can help you. So that's, if they think I'm too expensive and they'll say, well, you know, maybe I can get started and that'll save me some money. Okay, well, I'll come back. When do you want me to come back? Because again, I have a process. I'm not caught up in the memories of anything. I don't need the story of everything. And we're going to bring a team in that knows what they're doing. Last on here, you know, when people start saying certain things, I'm like, you know, we may not be the right solution for you. We don't work for free. We do all these things and we just don't work for free. We may not be the right solution for you. And I'm okay with that. And if I don't hear from them again, that's fine. So I think, you know, Cherie asked me to talk about value and selling and closing. And so how we respond to a lot of these things with confidence is it's a conversation. Like, I'm not trying to force anything on them. I'm not trying to sell them, you know, a used car. I'm just telling them about what we do, what our passion is, how we do it, and how often we do it. And that therefore we're going to bring that process and the trained team to your project.
Lisa, real quick, can I ask you something? Rachel Snow wanted to know how you're training your staff on, you know, defining the sellable versus the non-sellable lots.
Well, so I have an operations leader. We do, and we have several team leaders as well. So and most of those people are also, you know, helping to manage the pickups, right? So we have training that we send people through. We also know that, you know, the whole creating of these sellable lots, that's a real, you know, there's an art to that. And so we're constantly schooling, and we do formal training about 2 to 3 times a year. People see when they, you know, when the stuff sells, that, you know, they look at what it sells for. I'm not one of those that, you know, every week I send out a sales report saying, here are the top 5 lots that sold from that house. I'm not that good. Some people have that built into their discipline, and I don't mind to do it, but I just have not done that. But there is a real, in some houses we go into and we're like, hey, this is a house with, there's going to be a lot of small lots here because there's really expensive stuff here, and we're not trying to, you know, group everything together and call it pasta night, you know. And so so there, that's an ongoing thing that we're always working on. I don't know if I answered the question, but it's,
I think you did.
we also don't, like, there are some teams that, you know, their process is, you know, I've got 8 rooms in the house. I'm going to send 8 people in, and each person goes to one room, and they're in charge in that room for trash and lots and filming. We don't do it that way. We go in and we start clearing out sellable, not sellable, and then we start getting all the combined things together so that we're knowing, oh, we're going to create a little, you know, library look, or a little reading corner, or, you know, if there's a china set, or there's pasta night, cookbooks and pots and pans. And so we go through, and the team leader is going through the whole house with the team. We're not assigning people to a room and then the person only gets what's in that room, because that doesn't deliver necessarily the best sellable lot. If you've got something that really, you know, and sometimes there's 2 lamps that match, they're in completely different rooms, and you could have a lamp set. So we just don't do the one room approach. Okay, so
Lisa, I got a couple more questions that are coming in on this topic, and I just
Okay.
don't want us to get like too far behind.
Yep.
Wade can tell had a follow-up question. How are you like understanding the national trends? Are you searching those yourself, like via CT bids, the advanced search, or yeah, how are you just
No, I
doing
am not.
that? Okay.
I have been dying and asking for 5 years for a resource that could do that. But no, I am a salesperson, and sort and organize anybody can do. But I'm on a national platform, and we have local and national trends, and our competitors do not. So that is complete sales license.
Okay, fair enough. I like it.
Yeah.
And then Luis Peralta is wanting to know if you have certain members that are doing just the filming and others that are just setting up lots, or is it the same person that's like creating their lots, filming their lots, describing their lots?
No, our team leaders, and sometimes our operations leader will get involved. They're kind of creating the lots, and then there's people that are filming and then packing them in a packed house. You know, like if there's a real packed house, we've got lots being created, and then there's filming stations and packing, and then pack from there.
Kind of like a conveyor belt system. You're all kind of tackling
It's a little bit of yeah, it's a little bit, I mean, I don't know there. I know there are a lot of very successful owners who they don't pack their items. They leave them sitting there, and I, you know, you saw that on one of the, I mean, auction pickups are a huge customer interaction point, and I want to respect everybody's time, and I want to make sure they get what they bought, and I want them in and out. And so I invest in pickups probably different than other people. I do charge the customer for that, to protect the house, but I view the auction pickup as a customer interaction point. And so I want that to be a really efficient experience for them, versus an experience of disorganization or having to wait, or et cetera, et cetera. So we film in box. And they're liquor boxes or old boxes from an old move that, you know, came in from out of state or, you know, whatever. I'm not buying new boxes for that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
How do you price your for your pickup? Is it by how big the house is, how many lots you have, or is it just like a standard, you know, the pickup fee is this for all houses?
Okay. So you see on the bottom line there, it says pickup team
Yep.
under third line under phase 5, if y'all can see that. So that line item is basically how many movers am I going to bring in for how long on that day to bring stuff out of the house.
Okay.
So basically I'm covering my team costs to get the house empty on pickup day. So if I've got a lot, if I have many lots, or I have an awkward driveway, or I have 3 levels to the house, if I have lots of furniture to the house, I know it's going to take longer and more people, and that number adjusts.
Okay.
And so
Thank
that's
you.
in there. I mean, and again, I'm protecting the house. I'm not charging for the pickup. I'm protecting the house, and this is part of getting the house empty.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Sharia, I have a question for Lisa, please.
Sure, Alan, go ahead.
Shoot, Lisa, would you mind going back to that spreadsheet you were just on? Because that's the one I had the question about. One more, please. There you go. So I'm looking at these numbers. They look really, they look like what I think most people would say are pretty reasonable, maybe even small numbers, you know, like $300 to pull the cabinets and $250 for supplies and all that. And I'm just curious, does that actually cover your costs? I mean, that just seems really cheap to me. Or is this from several years ago?
This one's probably from, I don't know when it's from, but yes, it covers my costs. So you made an interesting point, and it's a really important point. Like, none of those prices seem egregious, right?
Right.
But they add up. And they
Yeah, I
account
saw that.
for the work to be done across the
Yeah.
house and the different types of the house. So, you know, sometimes like this is not even on phase 2 there. It's kind of just a normal house. Most houses, there's a room or a basement or a garage that's a mess. And that number is going to be $600 or something. You know, so I'm not good enough to go back and say, this is going to be 40 hours worth of work. Let me figure out how to spread 40 hours. I'm just not that good. And I'm not going to spend that much time on it because I'm going to keep selling, and I'm going to go after volume because that's what's going to keep driving the business. So yeah, there's nothing on there that freaks anybody out, because unless it's like the removing trash and chemicals. But I mean, I've got the team. I know what's not going to sell. I know what's trash, and we're going to load it and go. A lot of times we do, like this one says dumpster, dumpster, dumpster. A lot of times now we're removing with the truck because it's cheaper, quicker, and you know, it can improve our profit margins there. So
Well,
yeah.
thank you for that. And if you don't mind, I mean, I don't want to interrupt your flow, so you can address this later, but I'd love to hear more about how you're generating your business and your leads. So when you want to include that, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so proposal delivery, Sheree asked me to talk about. I don't really know what that means, but I don't deliver a proposal during consultation. Okay, I tell them, like, hey, you're going to get a test email from me. It's going to say, Lisa Malvea, carrying transitions, please reply yes. I will create, and so I do that. So in other words, they're engaged. If they don't reply back, I will call them and say, hey, did I get the wrong email number? You know, did you check your email? Oh, I don't do email. Then I know, crap, I'm going to have to deliver I'm going to have to deliver a printed copy, because I will do that. Then I create an executable timeline, and that's all I send. Okay. And it, like I said, it's like how we're doing the work. And so what most people, they're like, oh, wow, you got all those dates that were important to me and you fit it all around that. Or is it really going to take that long? Or they'll say, oh, so I can tell my real estate agent we can make the February 1st timeline. Yes, you can. So so I'm when I send the timeline, I'm sending it, quote, as if we could start tomorrow, or if they've given me specific, parameters, then I'm going to kind of put those dates in and I'm asking for a response. Does this look about right to you? So what I'm doing is yes, I got your email. Yes, that time looks right. If I'm doing a relocation, I will send a draft list of what they said they wanted to move. And I'll say, does this look about right? Spend 3 minutes on this. Don't overthink it. I just want to know, did I pretty much get everything that you told me you wanted to move, even though we haven't done a space plan yet? Because that's what I'm going to do to estimate your quote. So again, I'm getting multiple touch points and they're responding back to me. And so it's given me a gauge for if they go dark, then I know something's going on, right? If I'm doing a relocation and an estate sale and clean out, they do get 2 quotes. They're separate services, they're separate quotes, and I want them to think about them separately. So that's kind of how I deliver proposals. I will, if there's any kind of comment made about their hate of computers or emails or whatever, then, I will figure out a way to get them a printed copy. Because it's just going to hold things up. One thing I wanted to add is about managing multiple stakeholders. Okay. So you need to think about all the different people that could be involved in any sales process you're doing. So there might be the senior living community. There might be the wife or the husband, their kids, their grandkids, the real estate agent. Sometimes legal's involved, or when I say legal, meaning lawyer, or it could be that you have an executor of a power of attorney that's involved. Could be the spouse of the adult kid who's doing the legwork, which is always a red flag for me, because it's like, okay, I'm spending my time talking with somebody who's not a decision maker. And so what you want to do, you see on the right-hand side, is like, so what's their role? I mean, do they just want to see more information? I call them Mr. Seymour. They just want to see more. Are they an influencer? Are they a decision maker? Are they a distraction? Are they a friend? I don't care. I can talk to any of them and all of them, but I'm going to have them pegged in my book as to kind of what role I see them playing. And nobody's going to tell you their role. I mean, you see lots of sales stuff on, well, you need to figure out who's the decision maker. Everybody thinks they're the decision maker and they're not. So don't start asking those questions, but you have to, when you're selling your value, when you're interacting with a customer, is there anybody else that needs to be involved, blah, 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 then you're getting insight. If the salesperson at the community gave me this lead, I'm saying, hey, I have a meeting scheduled for Sally next Tuesday. Thank you so much. Hey, I just met with Sally. Seems like we're on track. Or, hey, I just met with Sally and, she's looking at other places. I just want you to be aware. That's what I heard. So that's how I'm kind of nursing that salesperson. So just know that you're in this business, you are managing multiple people in the process. And if you're not talking to all of them, then you might not end up with a deal. So, let's see, closing the sale. So I've sent the timeline. I've sent a move list. I've sent a relocation quote. I've sent an online estate sale close. And, what are the hooks that are important to them that I've been kind of making all the way? Well, I'm one solution. I'm one nose to touch. Okay. I've met their timelines and boundaries, whether that's a move-in or a closing date. I've helped them with sequencing and the how, because they're all overwhelmed. Okay. And so the more we can make it easy next steps, that's what we're doing. I will also see when I'm in a, protection for the house, they're nodding their head. you know, their agreement to that, you know, so I'm looking for all of those kind of hooks that are very important to them. When I send quotes, I ask them to confirm receipt and the best time to follow up. Okay, so at least I know they got it. And, you know, best time to follow up. You know, I'm working a deal right now where, I mean, my competitor is a very, very good provider. She does not do estate sales, but she's a very good, you know, move manager. She doesn't own her own moving company. And I know she's going in after me. So I made sure I sent everything. And, you know, the dialogue I got from the daughter was, oh my gosh, this is great. I'm seeing how it all fit together, but my brother's probably going to be selling the house and he's not interested in going that quick on after we move him. I'm like, okay. So what did I get? A piece of information? I said, yeah, we can go that quick and he can list it when he wants, or, you know, we can wait and give your parents more time to see, did they forget anything? But I got another piece of information in that scenario. You know, so a lot of the closing, you know, conversation depends on timing, the competitive situation, and what's going on cognitively or medically. Those kind of things will accelerate or get in the way or slow things down, or you'll find that, you know, somebody was sick for 2 weeks and that's why you didn't hear from them. So going dark doesn't always mean I've lost the deal, if you will. If I, you know, am asked for the best price or a change price, then I'm probably going to change the scope. You know, there have been times when I'll give a fixed fee quote on a move. And when they start asking for other things, I'll just say, hey, well now we're going to go to just time, because I'm going to get it done for you. But if you're going to keep changing what you want done, then, you know, we're going to keep track of time. You know, sometimes they'll say, yeah, I don't want you to deep clean. You know, they'll take some things off, you know, like no cleaning or no shredding. I'll take care of that, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, that's there. But, you know, sometimes they'll just kind of say, well, like, what's next? I'm like, well, you need to sign and write a check and we'll get it scheduled. I mean, don't be afraid to say that. Some of my red flags, you know, if they're gathering information, I don't even send them a quote unless they ask for a quote as part of their information. Multiple stakeholders, I talked about that. You know, timing, like next week, next month, next 6 months, next year, that's not really, that's helping me understand how urgent the situation is and how quick things might move. You know, pricing and scope, you know, there are people that are not going to pay this and they freak out and they go out and get other things, or they'll say, hey, I had one woman recently, she'd had 4 quotes. She's had everybody and her brother give her a quote. And she said, well, no, I finally called her and she said, well, I'm going to go with somebody who's more reasonable. I said, okay, that's great. That's great. And I hope that they can deliver for you what you want. And she said, but, you know, but then we're going to do the estate sale. And I know we're going to call you for that. And I said, okay, that's fine. I look forward to that. Just let me know when you know, want to talk that. So I'm okay with a lot of times when I give people both quotes that they're okay to do one, but most of them are ready to go ahead and just sign both quotes. There are other red flags that I've seen over the years. Like I had one woman that, you know, she denied me the move and then said, but I want you to come back. I want to do the estate sale. And then she said, well, can you get me some boxes? And I said, well, you've picked another mover and your mover can bring you boxes. You know, not my job. I'm not your move. And she was, oh, and she ended up having me move her. But, you know, just know that there's certain signs there when people start doing that. Like that sign for me was she's in my chapter book, you know, because a lot of things happened with her. And I'll just say that I have pictures of her naked and I kept them because, you know, she's a little crazy. And we found them because we find everything when we're in the house, right? So you just learn to ask yourself, you know, especially for those of you who are new, what did you learn on the call? What worked? What didn't work? What would you do differently next time? What'd you miss? for things you want and for things you don't win. And the red flag exercise is important because, when you have some of these crazy projects, I'm like, what did I miss? What did I miss along that way that then kind of it turns crazy. But also closing the sale, we're not going to win them all. I mean, I'm not trying to, I'd love it if I won everything I'm on, but the reasons we'll lose are DIY. Somebody's just wanting their poor kids to do it. Okay. Or they're going to try to do it themselves. And all I can say is my goodness, I sure hope y'all stay safe. Please don't hurt yourself. One thing that can frustrate them is, or slow down the decision processes. They don't have frequency. This is not a frequently purchased service. Okay. So like, the cost of eggs, but if you haven't moved in 30 years, you don't know the cost of the move. So you just keep focusing on what's the work to be done. Or you have a lot of people who, every time they moved, it was a corporate career move and the company paid for the move, and now they've got to move and they didn't realize it was expensive. So I don't think there's anything on there. You're going to have good competitors. I don't knock my competitors. They're good. What I say is, there's a lot of people that are really good out there. Not many of them do all the things that we do. And we do it all. And we're ready when you're ready. This page, I know you guys can't see this, but and this I actually do have this with the new logo on it in my sales calls, but this is something I have on every sales call. I call it a one-stop custom plan. You have plan, pack, move, and unpack on the left, and then on the right you have estate sale or online estate sale and clean out. So that's just one way to kind of show, we do all kinds of things and we'll add things to the list. So that's I think I kind of covered everything I wanted to cover. I just want you to remember you guys are owners and you own the decisions on all the things you do with your pipeline, your performance, your pricing, and your profit. And, you got to step back every once in a while and say, okay, how am I pricing? Or was that profitable? Or what do I not want to repeat again? Anyway, that's a lot.
So can I tell you guys, if you ever get an opportunity to do a relo with Lisa, take it, because it is a master class. And it was invaluable for me. So Lisa,
well, you're so
still
sweet,
not flinching.
Lisa, Luis Peralta had another question. How are you ever overcoming like your competitors that are just doing the commission only for their liquidations? They're not wanting to pay up a deposit up front or come out of pocket with any charges. Are you just...
I don't care. Good for them.
Okay. You're okay to lose that business, it sounds like.
Sure
Yep.
am.
They're not your ideal client.
I don't bring teams on site for free.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. And I'm not going to adjust my pricing for that. And I'll also, well, a lot of times I'll say, well, I hope they're going to get you to the finish line, and that, they're going to sell everything, and then they've got a plan for everything that doesn't sell, and that you're not having to call 20 people.
Yeah. Have you had any of them call you back after they hired somebody else?
Yeah. And I've cleaned up after other estate sales too.
Yeah.
Like one estate sale company, it was a mess when I went in there. And I found 5 rings in a bookshelf, because books don't sell. Well, we sell books, we create little book things, but we got another $9,000 out of the house, and then the house was empty and sold. And so, and they had just left them with a pure mess. So I've seen that several times.
And
But
then
I'm not going to, the way I think about it is every interaction is with a potential client, or they can refer you to other people. They might have reasons why they didn't choose you, and they may not share that with other people. But if they have a negative interaction with you because they went with somebody else, you'll never get any word of mouth from that person. And so that's just kind of the way I think about it. I'm not there to fight with a customer, and I'm not there to, downplay my competition, because it's a really small world.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mhm.
Brian Nielsen also wants to know, what have you found is that sweet spot for the length of your auctions? How many days?
I'm 7 to 9 days.
Okay.
So it depends on when I can film it, go online and close and have pickup. And I do work that around holidays. And we do a lot of hey, we sold our house. Can you film it and move it off site and sell it off site? Because, the house has got to be empty in 2 weeks. Yes, I will, but I will charge you for that. Happy to do that. I hate to do that. That spends your money. But if that's what we need to do, I don't want anything that I do to have you to break your contract on your house. Yes, we will get it done. The other thing we will do is we do probably 2 a month combined auctions. So what I mean by that is when we move Sally, or Sally only has 20 lots, as an example, to sell. Well, we'll just put that in our warehouse. Our storage unit is what we did for 4 years. And we'll combine it with somebody else's 20 lots, with somebody else's 20 lots. And so what that's doing consciously is it might make 100 or 200 lot auction, but we helped more people. And so more people will go talk about us. And guess what? They all get the same invoicing fee, and they all get the same. Sometimes I will reduce the marketing fee. But those are a little bit more administrative for me, because I've got to separate the results by family afterwards when I reconcile back to them. But the marketing advantage of helping people out of a situation when they know their stuff is nice, they just don't have a lot of stuff, is good. And for some people that we've moved 2 and 3 times, every time we downsize them, we just add a few things to our auction for them. So that has, been helpful too.
And then let's circle back around to Alan Dewick's question about your pipeline. So what do you think has been the most effective to drive business your first year? Can you remember that far back?
Yep.
Okay.
So if you don't have, so the CCRCs are the biggest thing that will drop your business. The, senior living communities, assisted living, memory care, independent living, senior apartments. So if you don't have a physical map with all of those buildings plotted out on your map, and you can, what I did and continue to do are probably 3 things. And to me, it's a drip, drip, drip campaign. So, in year 1, I started with water bottles. So I took plain old Smart Water, put construction paper around it, put a sticker on it, put a hydration pack on it, put a business card on it. I would, between sales calls, I would drop in the senior living community, pick up the latest business cards, because those people turn over all the time. And I would drop off 2 or 3 water bottles, and I'd say, hey, can you get this to Lisa, the salesperson? Or I would go put it on the salesperson's desk, because they're never at their desk. And I would send an email that night that said, water and hydration for you would be my subject line. And I would say, hey, Sally, I just wanted to stop by and let you know I was thinking of you. Hope you had a good day. Drop the water off for you. I'd love to drop by and see you for 5 minutes sometime. 99% response rate. So top of mind. So then the 2 other things that we do religiously with these buildings is when we're cleaning out houses, if we have flower shop vases, we don't donate those. We definitely don't sell them. We'll bring them back and we'll get a collection. So there's a shelf out back that has probably 20 vases on it. One day when we have a slow work day, we'll bring the team in and we'll fill them with flowers and go deliver them to people. And we'll say, hey, and they've got my business card on them, and the team loves to do that. I'm keeping my team members' hours up by doing it, and we'll blast 60 buildings in a day. And we're just taking people happy for their desk. That's all we're doing. And then the third thing I will do is I have a couple small businesses that have, like, they're kind of like a chef in a box where you can go, they're a cook, and you can go in and pick up pimento cheese or chicken enchiladas and, carry out for dinner. Well, I will call them and say, what do you have in your freezer? I'll take 10 and I'll go do those drops. And what I'll do is I'll find the salesperson in the building and I'll say, hey, I'm just dropping by. You don't have to worry about dinner tonight. Here's dinner. And I walk out. I don't try to sell them anything because it's really just top of mind. And so as these people, I mean, there might be 600 residents in these buildings, and they're going to stop and ask the salesperson. They're going to tell them about their toilet being clogged. They're going to tell them they need a ride to go to see the doctor, all this stuff. And so they don't need me as a salesperson coming in there and just chomping on them, right? So I do other little things to drive awareness for the building. I have started invested back to the question about leads. On a real estate standpoint, I sponsor a couple real estate offices. It's about $600 a year. I get on their intranet site. I can go to every weekly meeting if I want to. I'll sponsor 2 or 3 meetings a year, and I'll take, muffins or whatever, and can give a 5-minute presentation. So that when you get your name on their intranet site, that drives leads. I mean, you don't go in and ask to get on the internet. You go in and ask, hey, here's what we're doing. I'd love to be one of your sponsors. And so that's been very successful. And then in the last 6 months, I've started doing pay-per-click advertising, and that's driven incremental leads as well. And I'm going to fine tune that a little bit because I'm getting a lot of decluttering, because that's one of the words that we're using, and that doesn't really generate tangible leads. But relocation, estate sale, that kind of stuff does. So to answer your question, I think the name was Alan. It's like you have to have sales discipline to go out and knock on doors on these buildings, but also be, kind of understand what's going on with your business and stuff. So that, it all builds over time. And there's certain things I've described in here that I do for certain reasons because I know the marketing impact they have is more important, like my auction pickups, or, I do direct mail probably once a year. That's to mail addresses. That doesn't drive as much immediate leads as it drives awareness. And I will find the direct mail postcards on the inside of cabinets at people's houses.
Alan, you feel like that covered your question?
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Great. Okay, well, I am going to go ahead and wrap it up because we're about 3 minutes in. I don't think. Well, the other 2 questions I've been able to answer in the chat. Brenda Jackson just chimed in real quick. Do you have an org chart that you can share with me that I can maybe pass out?
No, I don't sit behind the
your
desk and create org charts. No, I don't have an org chart.
Nope, perfect, fine. And let me just double back here real quick to Catherine's question. I said, yes, you are charging for removal of donation, and you're explaining it as it's work that still needs to be done, and that's why you're charging for it. Is there anything else that maybe I missed on if you're charging to remove donation items?
No, I don't use that. I use that because that is work to be done. I don't really ever add a dollar figure to that unless there's like 5 closets of clothes that are just, where it's just obvious. So all those line items that you have on there, I'm really highlighting where there's major work and where there's work.
Okay. All right. Well, that is,
Hopefully it was helpful and you got little tidbits, and I'm here to help.
yeah, no, definitely. I even got some more nuggets, and I feel like this is the third time I've heard you kind of go through this little spiel. So, every time you hear something else and different, which is really great. I love that you send this timeline out first. I think that's like a whole mindset game changer that's still like releasing these endorphins and keeping them on that high of your like initial conversation. So, love that
Yeah.
approach. I feel like that probably does help a
The
lot.
goal is to reduce stress, right? And so seeing that
Absolutely.
it can all fit together is so it just reduces stress.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to just also let you guys know that Lisa Malvea has also agreed to do a follow-up group training. And so we're going to do this the last Thursday in January. I'll send you all the invite as well. But she wants to follow up with you guys to see how you've been able to implement some of these things that she's talked about, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and just try to get you a little bit better on that. So we're going to give you about 6 weeks to kind of put all this into play and see how you can make some changes for the better with your business. And then we'll kind of recap with her again at the end of January and see where you guys are all at. So hopefully most of you will be able to join us for that again. And yeah, reach out to Lisa Malvea if you guys have any additional questions. She's definitely, a powerhouse in this brand. She's wanting to, make everybody else better, right? The better you guys are, the better she's going to be, the better the brand's going to be. So it's all working in that same cohesiveness. So thank you again, Lisa. I really appreciate you coming on here for an hour and a half of your time. I know it was a lot to get through, but I really do appreciate it. And I know these owners do as well. So
Good. Thank you guys. Here to
Merry
help.
Christmas to everybody and happy birthday
Thank
to
you
your
so
mom.
much.
Lisa, happy birthday,
Wow.
Sherry.
Happy birthday,
Thank you.
Thank you
Cherie.
guys. Thank you everybody. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye.